Good morning.
Morning, everyone. We
Good
good on
morning.
Are we good
I
to
think-
start?
If you're ready, we're here. We have everybody in the room here.
Okay, awesome. Well, good morning to everyone again. My name is Sarah Thomason. I'm serving as chair of the Oak Ridge Abatement Authority Grants Committee and happy to see everyone this morning. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order. And to my knowledge and what I can see, the following grant members are in attendance in person: Dr. Jimmy Thompson, Sharon Buckman, Mike Tillum, Tyler Lester, and Jim Holland. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right, and I am attending virtually, obviously, and I'd like to welcome everyone that has attended the meeting in person or virtually. I think we have some other participants that are online as well. We do have a quorum. Do we have any guests there in the room that we need to recognize?
Not at this time.
Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and go to our next agenda item, and that is to approve our minutes from our December 4th, 2023 meeting of the Grants Committee. Those have been posted on the website for review. Do I have a motion to approve these minutes?
I think I was not there, so I'll have to be abstaining. Abstention.
I'll move that we approve the minutes.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
One abstention, Jim.
All right, thank you for that. Our minutes have been approved. All right, moving on, we are going to have our update from our Director of Operations, Charlie Linicum. Charlie, turning it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Morning, everyone. I have a short update today, primarily focusing on the items for your all's review and approval related to grants. We'll start off with amendments to existing grants or awards. The only amendments we received for this window related to this meeting were from state agencies. We have an amendment from the Virginia Department of Health requesting to amend their Comprehensive Harm Reduction Award. There was a site that had funding for a new site. It's been deemed that at this time that site is not viable. So they want to reallocate some of those funds to support instead to provide some technical assistance to all of the sites, as well as support some additional costs and operating things at the existing sites. There's no changes to the total project cost or award. There's only a minor change to one of their objectives. Originally, they had hoped to have 20 sites by December of 2027, and that'll be 19. But they were also, but with this change, they are able to increase their capacity to coordinate CHR programs and facilitate other expansion. The other amendment is from the Virginia Indigent Defense Commission. This is related to their, they only have one project. This is related to their Reentry and Recovery Specialist Award that are embedded in the public defender offices. We had selected 7 localities that had high need based on a high combination of highest overdose death rates and largest public defender caseload. There are 2 sites that they've not been able to identify like proper candidates for at this time, some due to not finding the right fit, some not having really enough applications. The original sites were Chesterfield, Fredericksburg, Lynchburg, Martinsville, Pulaski, Roanoke City, and Winchester. Lynchburg and Roanoke are the ones they haven't been able to find the candidates for. So what their request is to work with some additional localities as they go further down the line. I believe the next ones in line are like Richmond, Portsmouth, and Hampton. to see if they can get some candidates identified in those areas with Recovery Corps and get some more people boots on the ground for that. And then when they do their renewal, if they can find a strategy, then they'll come back with another strategy to address the issues with Roanoke and Lynchburg and try to bring them back in. That would probably be an increase to their awarded renewal to add those two. So again, no changes to the total project cost or award. It's just moving around some of the purposes. And now we move to city and county requests. So everything we got from city and counties for this site, or for the individual distribution and our gold standard awards, and they're all new project requests, and some of them are also requesting a renewal for FY25. And so we kind of give them the option in these mid-cycle meetings that if the project feels good, then they can also request the renewal. There is one contingency that they have to file a progress report with us by like June 3rd that shows us, since we've made the award, like where they are. And that has to kind of be reviewed by us and by the staff. And if they've made decent progress, then that will trigger in July for us to send the renewal instead of having them do another application by April 1. This seemed to kind of streamline the process. So the first two I'll address together. They are individual awards, but Danville City and Pittsylvania County are both working on their recovery court. They stood it up from like kind of a planning standpoint with some of their direct distributions. Now they would want to use some of their individual distributions to kind of continue the operations. It's not a cooperative project. They're both just doing two individual projects to support this. And as you can see, their amounts for fiscal year 24 are identical, and it's just on the individual distribution. And for 25, they are requesting individual distribution and gold standard. Fairfax County is working to expand their recovery court to young adults age 18 to 25. That's an individual distribution they're requesting in 24, as well as the renewal for 25. Smith County is working to expand their recovery court by hiring a peer specialist to provide training and education. They have only requested the funds for FY24 to get that stood up and working, but they will submit it. They wanted to wait and get approved before they submitted their renewal. So we will hopefully see that again at the next meeting. And then Wythe County, they're working to hire a substance abuse prevention specialist to embed within their public schools. And they are requesting individual and gold standard for both years. So that, I guess, any questions on any of the the awards?
It may interest the committee that all of these jurisdictions are indicating that they want to be gold standard communities.
Mhm.
And that's been, we're seeing that across the board.
I have a question is, so the distribution, is that, and they want to hire someone, is that like their paycheck and that's what they get paid if they want that to be able to bring someone in?
Mhm.
And is anyone look to see if that's enough for them to
Well-
hire a quality person?
If it's so like what you see in FY24 is just kind of enough to get through the rest of this fiscal year, because you've got like March, April, May, and June would be the most of your expenses. And then what you see in 25 is more of a picture of the full amount. And that is, I think that's just about, that might be all the money that they have available. If they have some money at, they may have some money in some other projects. And so if they need more, then they would be supplementing from their end. So, but Cindy worked all of these applications with the localities and worked through to make sure that they had what they needed from an operational standpoint.
Thank you.
All right, on to the next piece. So as we're starting to wind down our city county application process that will close on April 1st, we are also ramping up for the next state agency RFP process. So last year we did like in mid-April to mid-June. We're going to try to move that back a little bit and kind of modify our proposal window dates to open on March 15th and close on May 24th. And then have the items ready for consideration at the grants committee meeting on August 2nd. That will actually give about 2 more weeks for from the last time for the for the applicants to work on their proposals, and this will also, consider renewals and amendments as well to current projects, and it'll give us about another week on our time frame, and we still get stuff in before they get their decisions before a lot of the decision packages are usually due to the governor's office for the next budget round. That's the reason we work on this cycle. So a couple of other things that will happen is this happened last year, but it kind of happened on the back end. We'll do some coordination with the governor's office and administration because most of the applications we get are from executive branch agencies, and they want to have their own kind of like internal review process for the things they would like to see, prioritized or added to projects. Though that worked pretty well. Everything ran through Secretary Littell's office, and so it was very easy for us to have communication with them. Our current budgeted amount for the cycle is $7.7 million. We had about 8 million last year. We're going to require a standardized budget workbook, which is what we do for all of our grants now. Our first year, we kind of let things go as people had, and this makes it a little easier. And as our volume ramps up, it makes it easier to compare apples to apples across the same forms. We're going to put out some guidelines for amending and renewing current projects. Those guidelines are going to follow basically the same thing that the cooperatives and partnership projects do now. There's very little you can do amending in your current year. You can't get more, because these are competitive grants, you can't get more competitive funds within the year that you're already in. You can add money on your own if you would like. We might be able to modify some things, as you've seen with some of these other ones, modify some objectives or some uses, but then also, how they would deal with renewing and or amending their out years. But basically going to follow the same format. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel on that. We are going to create a uniform format for the proposals this year. Most of them came in pretty good. Some were harder to follow than others, but it's basically going to mirror the RFP. They can talk, if there's a whole bunch of stuff they want to put in, they can, but at a certain point, everything should be the same about how they're meeting the objectives. We'll make some small revisions to our MOU based on some feedback that we got from some of the agencies and their councils. And one thing we kind of allowed last year in the guidance was what we would consider a cooperative state agency project, like 2 state agencies working together, the way we allow the cities and counties. We didn't get anything like that. I think it's unlikely to happen. But trying to build another process around that, the state agencies, is a little more difficult than it is with localities. So what we want to do is not allow that. And if 2 agencies want to work together, one of them needs to be the lead agency that has the grant. The other one can be a subrecipient as like a partner kind of in the process if that needs to happen. I think that'll actually be easier on them as well as us, as well as the administrative processes that it takes to move funds around and everything. It's actually takes more administrative work on myself and Adam and PBHDS to get money to state agencies than it does to cities and counties. So, and the other thing is, we had some specific things that we were looking for last year, things that works for pregnant and parenting women, things that focused on recovery, transportation and housing, things like that. We're keeping all of those. We're removing one, which is the one that led to the toolkit that VCU is working on. Since we have an active and working project on that, we don't need to pay for that again with someone else. But here are some other items that we were planning to add as areas we were hoping to see proposals for. So things that address workforce needs for providing abatement efforts, including things that like providing credit towards degrees for certified peer recovery specialists based on time, effort, education, experience. When they do like 500 hours, and if I can get an executive, MPA or MBA based on my years of work in state government, I'm thinking there's a chance here we might be able to do something, whether it's at a community college level, or a bachelor's or even, some type of pipeline to a master's program. Also something that might fast track CPRS into job pipelines that align with abating the opioid epidemic. I would love to see some type of CPRS to licensed clinical social worker. track from someone, that obviously there's some time and things, the resources in there, but the fact that they can get some credit and get on or get into something, even if it's a finance, director for a recovery home or a treatment center or something that helps them along with that. Identifying and addressing needs in traditionally disadvantaged communities, looking at and these are options. These are the little options to the right. There's other things they can do. I had to kind of clip it down, but it'll say things like may include. But so may include like analysis on how to reduce stigma and engage people in these communities more in treatment and recovery, review of successful evidence-based solutions for their cultural appropriateness. If it works well in Southwest Virginia, it doesn't necessarily mean it's portable to inner city Richmond, but the ideas are there. So how can we adjust that so that maybe it can work and people will engage with it in inner city Richmond? And to make sure that when they're doing these things, they engage the people in the community, they engage people that are academics, like, historically Black colleges and universities, groups like that, and people in these communities with lived experience. We also want to increase treatment and recovery resources for adolescents. What that looks like from a state agency might just be supports for localities, but something around that. Development of programs that reduce the impact of opioid use disorder related incarceration, treatment, and or recovery on the foster care system, and as well as resources for children and caregivers in kinship or fictive kinship care due to, again, OUD related incarceration, treatment, and recovery. As you know, we have a small program with DSS right now for kind of expanding their current kinship navigator program. But we think there's a lot of opportunity here to support people, both people that are in recovery and the children.
Madam Chair, one quick question while we're here. Does it include transportation as well? As you mentioned, for example, workforce needs abatement efforts. How about transportation in that venue?
I could add that as another suggestion.
Yeah, because that was an issue I heard was a major impediment for someone using an Uber, and was quite expensive.
Right.
Way more expensive than the income they derive. So that might be a thing to add in there.
Yeah, they can do anything in the kind of the big categories on the left.
I'm sorry.
We don't have Uber.
We don't have it, I know, but they gotta get there.
Yeah, you don't have it in your area, right? Yeah. So there's some.
It was everywhere. Be careful.
Good job.
And if I may, Mr. Hall, Madam
Yes,
Chair, the list that Charlie's showing you right now are the expanded items that it's on top of the list that already is in place.
Okay.
Well, we don't have transportation called out specifically. We talked
Okay.
about recovery supports, but
Transportation.
but we will
Yeah.
add transportation.
Yeah.
Specifically.
And the idea is these are the items on the left, the kind of on the right, excuse me, are kind of the details. They're suggestions of areas we like to see, but if someone has something that addresses workforce needs or any of these things that don't meet those, that still is addressing it, we certainly want to see it and consider it.
Yeah, they may not perceive it as being something that's
Right.
allowable.
Yep.
And therefore not request or whatever.
Yep, no, we
But
absolutely
know
add
it's a
that.
need that exists.
Mhm.
Thank you,
No problem.
Madam Chair.
All right, and the last item on my update is actually going to be done by our Director of Finance, Mr.
Good to be here. Yeah, that's what
Quick update on the grants management portal background. So if you recall, September of last year, we issued a request for quotes for a grants management portal, right? And it's more than that. It's going to be more of like a financial management system inclusive of a end user, cities, counties, state agencies making their application, as well as like a dashboards, data visualizations, that sort of thing, right? So we received 4 responses from that, 3 of which were really kind of considered viable and met all the technical requirements that were outlined in the scope of work. So there was one clear winner, and that was MTX. So MTX is essentially a public sector IT type company, right? They work mostly with governmental entities. And so they had kind of the expertise as well as operating on a Salesforce platform, which is like more customizable than some of the other platforms that might have been offered. So looking at the contracting and scope of work, so we executed on, January 31st, I think, the contract, right? Exhaustive legal review that was spearheaded by James, working with his colleagues at the OAG. So, yeah, it was quite, it's a long contract. I think it's about 1,000 pages. I'm not exactly right, but I mean, it's not that much, but you know, it makes sure that the Commonwealth and the OAA is fully covered from a legal perspective. So executed a statement of work for phase one. So the project is broken out into multiple phases, right? There's a financial component. There is the grants management portal component, and then there's also the dashboarding, custom data visualizations type component, right? So we've engaged in discovery review, OAA staff and MTX to figure out all the specific technical requirements of these phases, right? So in doing so, there have been a few scope enhancements and things that's kind of customary for projects of this nature, right? So the current phase one is within budget, which is great.
Thank you.
And then yeah, exactly. And then there are some out year cost drivers over the course of several years, right? We do a 5-year analysis for the contract period and then look out, they can do additional 1-year contracts over a course of 10 years, right? So there were additional costs associated with that, all of which are still significantly below any of the other respondents to the RFQ. And are better meet all the technical requirements associated with the project. So we're still in really good shape in that respect. And we are scheduled, I think, for May 15th, right, for phase one. And then we'll begin, and we're kind of working concurrently for phases 2 and 3. So hopefully by the end of the current calendar year, we would be able to deploy that, like the public facing dashboards component. Phase 2 is arguably the most important piece. That's going to be where cities and counties and state agencies can actually go into the system and move from a paper-based application process into like a more of a digital type process, right? So everything is captured, communications are captured in the system, applications, all the financial information.
Great.
Is recorded, and that's kind of the primary record to hold us, so to speak. Am I missing anything? Do you want to, Mr.? Okay. So that's really where we're at. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Is the software cloud-based? This could be.
Yeah, it's
software,
a web
and that's
application.
included in the cost too, as we look out years. The software. as well.
Correct. Yeah. So there's a one-time implementation cost, which is
Okay.
the development of the software, right? Which is essentially a configuration that sits on top of the Salesforce platform. And that is cost allocated or amortized over the current fiscal year in FY25.
Okay,
And then ongoing costs for O&M and licensing after that. So that's it. So it's like $300,000 to $400,000 in licensing costs and
Okay.
data visualization type stuff
okay,
after that.
okay. And the initial contract is for, what's the initial contract period?
5 years.
5 years
5
with
years.
renewables. Okay.
Correct. 5
Okay.
1-year
Five
renewals.
with-
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Did I get that right, James? Okay.
Right.
And
Okay.
Mr. Holland, Madam Chair, if I can,
Mhm.
hopefully everybody can hear me okay online. You know, the most important resource for this organization is our board and our employees. Right behind that is going to be this software application. This is going to be absolutely critical backbone infrastructure for this organization over the life of these settlements. And as we go through audits, if the Joint Legislative Audit Review Committee, if and when they come knocking on our door, reporters, general public, this is going to be the source that everyone will turn to get answers to their questions. And so the work that the staff is doing every day, they've had every day, multiple hour virtual meetings with the developers on this application. This is really, it's an expensive proposition for the organization, but it's absolutely critical. And so we wanted to take the opportunity, since the grants committee was meeting, to give you an update on it, and we'll continue to keep you updated as we move forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I absolutely concur. It's critically important. This portal's gonna be great. And the fact that they can go online and access versus paper-based will save a lot of staff time and just the organization and more importantly, from my perspective, accountability. Updated and accountability will be critical important as we continue down this journey. So this is great news. I applaud you all, Adam and the team, and Tony, I applaud you all, Charlie and all, for putting this in place and getting us moving. And I heard by the end of the calendar year as well. Is that correct?
I think that's the
That's- yeah,
schedule that we're
that's your
on.
schedule.
The schedule we're trying to be on.
By the end of the calendar year,
The entire
okay.
project.
Entire project,
The
okay.
most important piece is we're hoping to have the phase two, which is that external portal for
Okay.
applying up by like September. So that gives us like a kind of a month to run some training sessions,
Okay,
especially for those people that may want to get an application in for like that December grants committee
okay.
meeting so that they can learn how to use the software and get all that stuff in. And so that we wanted, I don't want to start it in the middle of an
Absolutely.
application period.
Yeah.
So we've been, October 1st we could make work. We're hoping for September.
Excellent.
And we're focused on
Which
that
is
time.
part of the reason why we're having these daily meetings. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Matt Terrell, our business analyst, is actually kind of running the
Okay,
shop, right?
good.
This is one of the primary reasons why.
You'll
we
meet with
decided-
him additionally after
Yeah.
Adam and I and him have spent 2 hours with them. So
Okay.
he's, yeah, the process is working in key because of what Matt's
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
Okay, thank
Keeping
you.
everything organized and on point.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Right. And Madam Chair, that ends the update from Director of Operations.
Well, thank you. This was just an excellent update and well done. Thanks to Charlie, Adam, Matt, Cindy, Tony for all your excellent work in preparing this and keeping us going in just a top-notch way. I'm really impressed. This is awesome. So on to our next agenda item, we have come to the time for public comment. Just a reminder, when you speak, to keep your individual comments to 3 minutes. We have definitely people virtually. I'm not sure if anyone would like to speak, but we're going to start with those that are there in person in Richmond. Do we have anyone there that would like to address the grants committee?
Madam Chair, there's no members from the general public present here in person.
Great, thank you. And now I'm going to turn our attention to those attendees that are here virtually. Is there anyone here in the meeting virtually who would like to address the grants committee?
If you could, members, use the hand raise function in Zoom, and our Zoom master can open it up so that you can speak. No hand raises from the virtual attendees.
Okay, thank you. We will move on to our next part of our agenda, which is the new business. And we have under new business item A, considering the amendments for existing grants or awards. That was all listed as attachment A to the agenda. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the request from the Virginia Department of Health and the Virginia Indigent Defense Commission to amend their awards consistent with the recommendations we've heard from staff. Do I hear a motion for approval?
I move approval.
Thank you so much. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of approval, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. We have the approval for those amendments. Our next business item B is considering our city and county requests for new grant awards and related renewals. That was listed on attachment B for our agenda. So I will entertain a motion now to approve the new grant awards and the related renewals consistent with the recommendations we heard from staff. Do I have a motion for approval?
So move.
Thank you. Second.
One second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great. Thank you. And now we have come to the time for any comments and discussions within our grants committee members. Would any members of our committee like to make any comments?
No comments from the in-person attendees.
All right, we've been quite efficient this morning. So we are to the point of our agenda where we are ready to adjourn. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So move. Move.
Second?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Please say aye. Aye. All right. Thanks again for everyone's work. Everyone have safe travels home. Thanks for being there so that I could stay here. We're interviewing for 4 new faculty members, so it was going to be difficult for me to get there today. So thank you guys so much. Have a great weekend.
Good deal. Good deal.